Hi guys, Alex here with Inside, and today we're going to take a step back from discussing specific projects, and I want to guide you through the market of Abu Dhabi. We often talk about Dubai as the main investment area. Also, if you've been following me, you know I'm a big fan of Ras Al Khaimah. And today I want to guide you through Abu Dhabi as a region, explain the dynamics of the emirate and what's causing growth. And I'm going to cover the key locations where you should pay attention to for investment. I'm going to cover key investment themes. Some will be similar to Dubai, some maybe not. So at the end of the video, you'll have a clear understanding of what's happening in 2025 in Abu Dhabi, where and what is poised to grow and why. And this way you can already start to think about future investments, portfolio planning, and overall come out a more intelligent, well-informed investor. So let's dive in. Of course, Abu Dhabi, if we zoom out on the map, actually covers around 84% of the total land area in the UAE. And contributes quite a significant portion of the GDP of the UAE comes from Abu Dhabi, of course, from oil and gas. And Dubai actually is pretty small compared to Abu Dhabi. But of course, when we talk about Abu Dhabi, the main area of focus is the capital itself and the surrounding islands. And if you look at the landscape, there's a lot of interesting islands, mangroves, and this is different than Dubai's man-made islands, as well as some of the other emirates. If you take a look at the numbers, interestingly, in the last year, for instance, Abu Dhabi's population grew by more than 200,000 people. That's more than 7% of the population. And this is almost twice as much as the Dubai population grew. So point one, the population here is actually growing faster than Dubai at the moment. Also, if you look at sales for off-plan in the first half of 2025, there were around 4,000 new units launched in Abu Dhabi versus over 60,000 in the same time in Dubai. And in the period of 2021 to 2024, we have more than 200,000 units in Dubai sold, and we have more than around 20,000 in Abu Dhabi. So it's 10 times less than Dubai. What does this mean? It means that the region, in terms of development, is about 10 to 15 years behind Dubai. If we remember, actually only in the last 5 or 6 years has the Abu Dhabi market even opened up to non-locals, non-Emiratis for purchase. And now the region is seeing a significant boom. I'll explain why in the details in a second, but you already start to get a picture that, hey, maybe there's potential in the region. I personally am a fan. And there's going to be a lot more projects coming out in Abu Dhabi that I think will be interesting for whether you want to live there or for investment. Now, because there's so few projects and so many people moving, this creates a shortage, especially of high quality projects, because a lot of the buildings there are quite old and there's really not that many new units for people to choose to live. For instance, I'll dive into the specifics of the area here in a second, but essentially Abu Dhabi starts here right just beyond Palm Jebel Ali. And if you remember in a prior video, I've covered Bain from Aura, a beautiful master plan here for villas. I think close to Dubai, it's one of the best villa investments. There's Al Jurf over here from Imkan, as well as Ohana and the Shah residences. And overall, I think this segment of the coastline is one to watch. In general, my investment thesis for this and pretty much any asset class is always find the things that are unique, that are very limited or capped in supply, and invest in that. I've been doing this for over 15 years for clients around the world in different asset classes, for families, for investment funds. So I know a thing or two when it comes to investments and building portfolios for and with my clients. So when we get closer to Abu Dhabi, we start to see some of the main landmarks that you may already recognize. So we have Yas Island. I'm going to cover the key strategic areas. We have the international airport here. So the main areas are Yas. We have Fahid Island over here, where Aldar is launching projects recently that I've covered in the past. In fact, there's actually going to be some villas, some new additional islands made over here. Actually, we can look at Aldar's site, and it's actually pretty handy. So for instance, if we look here, the villas that I'm referring to, right now they're building out this area. This side will have a beach. This side will have views of the mangroves. and these villas are going to come online soon. So actually here is Yas. Why is this location interesting? Mainly because Disneyland is announced to be coming here, and there's also talk of a casino being built in this area as well on Yas. And if that happens, of course, all the prices in the area are going to increase. But even without that, I think they're already increasing if you paid attention to what's happened on Saadiyat Island in the last 3-4 years, where prices more than doubled. In general, you can ask, why is this happening now? Why not 5-10 years ago? And, we can guess, but one hypothesis is that just like, for instance, the UAE right now is doing with RAK, where they're building the casino there, the Win has likely exclusivity until at least 2030. They even have a second plot for a casino that they're going to announce likely in the next couple years in RAK. And so in a way, it's kind of like, let's build over here, see how it works, and then bring it and integrate it into the rest of the system. And in a way, potentially Dubai had a similar story where Dubai was developed. We see that the real estate market works fairly well here. Investors make money. And now Abu Dhabi is kind of bringing the same mindset into the fold and starting to more actively develop here. So that's one hypothesis for why this growth is happening now. Shifting over, I'm going to cover the other areas. So we have Fahid. We have Ramhan Island over here, which maybe I've covered in a prior video or not, but quite interesting project with a lot of villas by the water. You'll notice there is quite a focus on villas, and that's because in general that's when people are moving to the UAE, they're often these days moving as families. They're looking for 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, villas, and generally the bigger spaces are going to be fewer in supply, and so they make for better investments. The main known area here is Saadiyat, of course, and we have the cultural district specifically on Saadiyat, where there is a lot of museums like the Guggenheim, the Sheikh Zayed Museum, and a few others being developed. All of them are set to open by 2026. Some are already operational, and essentially here we just have Mamsha as the main completed buildings. We have Saadiyat Grove over here that's going to deliver in about a year or so. And we've had some launches that you likely heard of, like Nobu, Saadiyat Grove, Louvre Terraces, Art House. They're all over here on this line. There's one really interesting slot over here where Aldar is going to be launching a new high-end project. Probably it was supposed to be branded, but I believe at this point it's just going to be just a high-end building built by Aldar. This area is the one that's the most expensive or one of the most expensive in Abu Dhabi. I'm going to come back to it. There's a few other areas here like Four Seasons launched a resort here. The St. Regis here is really nice. If you haven't been, it's a really beautiful hotel. I stay there from time to time. And so we have this coastline here that's interesting. We have Saadiyat lagoons that take up a significant portion of the island. So really not that many villas, as pretty much everything here is apartments. Then if we shift out, we have there's going to be Lulu Island that's going to be part of the development plan, as well as we have Reem Island over here. And Reem is probably on the lower end in terms of budget, where Saadiyat is on the higher end. There's a few other launches coming down the line as well, like Bulgari down here, and we have Nurai Island as some spaces for construction and real estate, for commercial as well as residential throughout these areas. But let's take a step back and see what kind of investments might make sense. In general, I'm always a fan of branded residences, and here this holds true simply because there's just so few of them. You can probably list them on maybe even one hand. So we had the Waldorf Astoria launch here on Yas, which Yas essentially and Fahid we can tie to all the amusement parks on Yas, Disneyland, and the potential casino. So Fahid and Yas are tied to that more or less. Then we have Nobu, as I mentioned. We have Mandarin Oriental over here, and we have Four Seasons residences. Four Seasons, really beautiful project. It's some residences and villas on the water in one of the most iconic locations in Abu Dhabi. There's still some availability. Pricing here is about 32 to 40 million for a 3-bedroom. Villas obviously go for around 70 to 100 million plus dirham. I do believe that they're good at, really good investments actually, because there's very few of them. And I mentioned Bulgari, and there's likely to be a lot more. An additional segment for villas that I forgot to mention next to the Four Seasons is the Fahid villas from Aldar. And these are also limited edition. Let's say they're on a golf course, really, really beautiful spot here. And these are, 70, 80, 100 million plus dirham. So right up there with Four Seasons residences. The only difference is they're not branded. The sizes are quite generous. And if you're looking to invest these kinds of sums, then the Four Seasons villas and the Faya villas are going to be fantastic investments as well. So right now there's literally like 4 or 5 buildings that are branded in the area. And as we've seen in Dubai, that segment has exploded and continues to drive significant appreciation for its investors, those who invested in Bulgari and Royal Atlantis, 2 to 3x their money. And right now, Abu Dhabi is set to, I think, repeat that, maybe even exceed. And so this is something to keep in mind, that I would highly advise focusing on branded residences here. And each one has its own nuances, so it's not just a blanket buy everything. The unit selection is also important, as always, and that's something that we can discuss when we look at these. Then, of course, I think the segment of villas is greatly undervalued here. And starting from Bain all the way up at the top, as I mentioned, near Dubai, we have villas that are coming here from Aldar, and we have Ramhan here. Generally these villas, and we had Saadiyat Lagoons, some of the villas in Four Seasons, and that's more or less it as the main ones. The pricing here is roughly probably between 10 and 20 million on the low end, give or take at this point. And that's going to be the segment. If you have 10 to 20 million to invest in Abu Dhabi, I would be buying either villas or maybe a nice 3-bedroom apartment or 4-bedroom apartment here on Fahid Island. Then in terms of actually villas, there's Hudayriat Island, which is over here, which I forgot to mention, where Modan is developing. It's another major developer in Abu Dhabi. Here there's a beautiful master plan that has villas on a hill by the water, a lot of infrastructure being developed. So also quite interesting area. And in general, I think for the villa segment, those are the main ones and the ones that I would focus on. Generally, I have clients who want to move to Abu Dhabi, for instance, after they've been to Dubai. They want to just have a higher quality of life. The energy is different in Abu Dhabi. It's more relaxed. It's also, I believe, the safest city in the world at the moment. And so for people who are coming from Europe, from the States, where there is often, challenges with politics, challenges with safety, here it's safe in general. It's also very safe to be wealthy. And so you can walk around with any kind of watch, clothes, car, and you blend right in, because it's just normal life here to see 3 Rolls Royces parked next to the supermarket because people are just getting milk. So what's considered luxury in other countries is every day in the UAE. And that really changes your mindset as well, where you start really choosing the best for yourself. I've seen it in myself in my journey here, and I've seen it in my clients and my colleagues. So that's another reason that people choose to move to Dubai and Abu Dhabi and the UAE in general, is to live a very high quality of life with high quality medicine, schooling, and also, of course, plenty of investment opportunities and 0 tax, which is quite nice. In terms of taxes, by the way, the land department fee in Abu Dhabi is only 2% versus 4% in Dubai and in RAK. So that's something, it's still a 2% savings, still could be nice. So we've covered branded residences. I mentioned villas that I think are quite good in some of these projects. I do want to touch upon buying land, because this is, I think, one of the more interesting asset classes, because there we can do a couple things. We have 3 strategies with land. One is we buy land and we hold it and we resell it at the right time. We've seen this happen in Dubai Islands, for instance. People who bought plots 2-3 years ago, or in RAK, sold them for often 2 to 4x what they paid in just 2 years. So it's one strategy. 2 is we can do a joint venture with a developer, and that's where I'll use my connections to help us establish that, and we can go into construction. And then, of course, because we own the land, we have, that's our security, and it provides really nice returns, higher than just simply buying units. And of course, 3 is when we can become a developer ourselves. And that's something that I'm also working with some clients on. So if you're interested in construction, we can have that discussion, and I'll be happy to get our projects off the ground, help them become successful. So in terms of land here, we have, I think, Lulu when it becomes available. I don't know if it's possible to get slots on Yas at this point, but Saadiyat here in the Marina district I think would be quite good. Of course, Lulu. We have Reem as a potential area as well. And here the starting point for land generally is between 30 and 40 million dirhams, so around 10 million US, not that expensive, considering some plots I know are priced at 200 to 300 million dollars minimum. So it's a fairly low entry point for high returns. And here in Al Reem, in general, it's going to be an area that I think takes 5 to 10 years to develop, and as always, focusing on projects on the water. For instance, there's a project from Emirate launching, which is building the iconic tower in Dubai. It's here on the water. Price per square foot, for instance, is around 2,000 dirham per square foot. For projects on the water, I think it stands to gain a lot, considering the average on Saadiyat at this point, I believe, is over 4,000 per square foot. So Reem also has some room for appreciation, whether it's buying land or buying units. But I will say we're seeing a shift in the market where before it was, okay, let's buy something, then we resell it in, some people think a year or two. That's becoming less likely, because now we have to really understand the dynamics of the market and how long it takes to develop a particular area, a particular region, because the appreciation of something, one, comes from scarcity. So for instance, branded residences will appreciate simply because there are none almost. But also the development of the entire region, how well the region is known around the world, how many tourists it attracts, how many businesses it attracts. And Abu Dhabi government and the UAE government are spending billions of dollars on marketing around the world so that more people know about Saadiyat, more people know about real estate in the UAE, in Dubai, in Abu Dhabi. So there's a lot of effort being done on the government side. And of course, the more success stories there are, for instance, whether for my clients or other people who have made money here in real estate and have a very high quality of life, the more their friends want to come. So it's actually a pretty common story these days that we start with maybe, a couple units in different emirates to set up a portfolio with my clients. Then they buy a couple more, they end up moving here, moving their family here, starting a business, get a golden visa, and they become full-fledged UAE residents and live here for many years happily with their family. And then they actually liquidate their portfolios in other countries like UK or Europe, the broader Europe, US, and bring them, and we recreate them in the UAE, simply because the economic, political, currency risks are significantly lower. It's a great place to live. So there's many reasons that this is happening. And when it comes to units, maybe I'll offer this segmentation. If we're talking about the 20 to 100 million dirham mark plus, then the recommendations are easily the Mandarin, maybe getting resales in Nobu. There's still a penthouse available. I believe it's around 150 or 160 million. And the Four Seasons residences and villas. That's pretty easy. Then also the land purchases, I think that's also falls in that segment. If we're talking about the 10 to 15 or 10 to 20 million dirham segment, then we're looking at Fahid Island, perhaps some nice 3 bedrooms, maybe villas on Ramhan Island, or waiting for the villas here on Fahid. I would say that would be my focus, maybe villas on Hudayriat. If we're talking the 5 to 10 million dirham range, then we could get a nice 2-bedroom on Fahid and potentially finding some resales on Saadiyat, or getting some units here on Reem in strategic locations from quality developers. That's generally going to be the focus. Under 5 million, I think the focus would be on Al Reem here, and getting 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and waiting for the price appreciation to happen. The holding period here might be a little bit longer than Dubai. I would say perhaps 5 to, on the low end, maybe 3.5 to 5 years. On the, let's say, more conservative end, 5 to 10 years. And I think that's okay. Because as it's part of a portfolio strategy anyway, there's plenty of opportunities to make, if you will, faster money in regions like Iraq and certain areas in Dubai. But all in, I really like Abu Dhabi because there is a lot of potential for growth. There's huge areas that are not developed. It's growing faster than Dubai. There's very few units that have launched, and I think it's about to change quite significantly with the advent of Disneyland, likely another casino here. I think all this, to summarize, is we have villas, branded segments. We have even lower priced units that are available in the region. The region is less overheated, if you will, even though I don't think Dubai is overheated. I also think Dubai can grow quite a lot. But there's fewer units, which presents for more opportunities if you understand specifically which areas and developers to target. Just like in Dubai, maybe only some of the developers make sense, because though the main ones here are, of course, Aldar and Modon, there's really not that many other developers, but more starting to enter, like Mered, like I believe Ellington is going to be launching projects here. So we're seeing a shift from developers as well, who are starting to launch projects in Abu Dhabi, which is to me a leading indicator that now this is becoming an area for growth and for investment opportunities. So hopefully this, guys, gives you a clearer picture of what's happening in the region. Maybe it sparks your interest and you understand the area better, so you want to invest here. Maybe we expand your portfolio, and I'll be happy to do that with you. You can reach out to me through the link above, and we can discuss what options there are, especially if you have ideas for joint construction. Happy to have that conversation. And thank you guys for following along. I really like sharing this information with you because I believe in the region. It also helps me kind of structure my thoughts a bit and really concretely nail down my investment theses, because that's what I'm going to be creating with you when we have our discussions. So thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to create these videos and for watching. You can always leave your comments below. Appreciate your feedback. My name is Alex, and I'll see you next time.